The goal is to be always kind of constantly in flow. And see, here's the thing, right? Like this is something that I kind of discovered when I was first getting into meditation, right? And he made a valiant effort to speak, but he couldn't do anything more than squeak. He talked himself out of each negative thought he had when he came in for the interview. And instead of the interviewer convincing the interviewee convinced himself just by thinking about these positive ideas and images in his head and thinking about the awesome future he could have. Very critical. And as this process was going on, several times, this guy was tempted to just talk about himself. And he was thinking, as he thought, he really wanted to add in his own thought. He convinced himself on his own that he would like to work for the firm. And so because this guy was a good listener and he let the interviewee do most of the talking, he's able to weigh both sides fairly in his mind. He came to the positive conclusion, which was a challenge he created for himself. And they hired this guy, and he's since been an outstanding representative for their firm and let him have a massive amount of growth because they did not interrupt him. Even, our friends who would much rather talk to us about their achievements than listen to us boast about ours. I mean, it's true everywhere. There's this French philosopher named La Rochefoucauld, and he says, if you want enemies, excel your friends. But if you want friends, let your friends excel you. Now this obviously comes back to this concept of surrounding yourself with really successful people and allowing people to put themselves on a pedestal. Now I'm not saying that you have to make lots of money with your friends, because that's bogus, right? But you want to make people feel like they're more successful than you, even if you're secretly super massive, and you have all this stuff right here. You want to make people feel like they're better than you because you want to make them feel like they're more significant than you. And it takes a sacrifice. You're sacrificing your ego of being I know I'm better than this person and I want to express it. You're sacrificing that. But in response, you're getting this really quality long-term relationship asset. It's gonna last so much longer and be so much more powerful, and thereby lead to more success for you and the other person, right? Just by sacrificing that temporary thing. You want to let other people feel. This is so true, because when our friends excel us, they feel important. But when we excel them, they, or at least some of them, will feel inferior, feel envious. And I've seen this a lot, and it's really harsh. And it's tough, especially if you have public success. You publish a book, you can alienate a lot of people, and it's difficult. But you really want to make people feel like in their area of expertise, in their specialty, in whatever they're passionate about, that they are better than you. Because, I don't care if someone thinks they're better than me in yoga, whatever. But it would make someone else feel so important to think that I will give that to them all day. Even if it's not even true, I don't care. Because it makes them feel special. By far, the best placement counselor in the Midtown Personnel Agency in New York City was Harrietta G. And it hadn't always been that way. During the first few months of her association with the agency, Harrietta didn't even have a single friend among her colleagues, because every single day she would brag about the placements she had made, the new account she had opened, and anything else she had accomplished. And she would, instead of sacrificing ego, she would pump up her ego super high, and she would radically decrease her amount of friends that she had, and she would alienate herself from everybody else. And because she put herself on a pedestal, everybody else felt like they were way below her, and they felt awful, and they didn't want to be her friend. And she said it was good work, and she was proud of her work. But instead of her colleagues sharing the triumphs, they seemed to resent. See, this happened a lot. I know a lot of successful people, and they've lost so many friends as they got more and more successful, because people will resent success because they feel like they deserve it. Feel like they should have had the work. They should have done it. It says you have entitlement that you obviously don't have. You guys are here, you guys are learning, you guys are educating yourselves, you guys don't have this entitlement, which is awesome. But a lot of people, they feel entitled to something. They feel like the world owes them something, which is just bogus. It's bullshit. So you really want to be, she wanted to be liked by these people, and so she really wanted them to be friends. And so after listening to some of the suggestions made in the course, she started talking about herself less and less. And she started erasing this little triumph she had, and she just wasn't as focused on herself. And if you want to win a lot of friends, all you have to do is stop talking about yourself and start listening to other people. I have a lot of people that I've literally sold copies of my book to, and the way I sold them my book was by asking them about themselves and just talking to them. We were like an Uber ride or something, or we were just in the airport, and I had nothing else, so I was just talking to them. And I would literally just ask these people about themselves for half an hour, 45 minutes. Well, not usually that long, I do value my time. But I would just talk to people and enjoy it. It was a great process, and I would literally just have these conversations with people. And then after 30 minutes of talking about them and their careers and their passions, their interests, and what they're awesome at, they would say, hey, what do you like to do? And I would tell them a 2-minute story about me really liking stocks. And they'd be like, holy crap, no way. They pull out their phone on Amazon and buy my book. Why would someone do that? Why would they give me $35? Well, I literally sold them in 20 seconds. The answer is because of all the value that you build up before that, and all the focus that you put on the other person. Because when you focus on the other person, they will care about you. You don't have to establish authority. You don't have to say, these are all the thousands of stocks I've traded that are super, super awesome. You don't have to do any of that, because just by focusing on them, you're already showing that you give them a ton of value and they want to continue that process. It's the same thing here. She decided that she would stop focusing on her own achievements, and she really wanted to make these guys friends, so she listened to the suggestions and she talked herself less and less and less and less. Also, you know, had things to boast about. So her friends started boasting about, you know, what they were doing, right? And now they put themselves on a pedestal and they felt like they were higher than her, right? And so because of that, they started to come together, they started to bond. And as she heard about their accomplishments and listened to their accomplishments, now they're super happy and they love to chat with her. And they always enjoy it. They mention all of their achievements. And here's the key. You only mention your achievements when people ask. You only mention your achievements when people ask. I don't go up to somebody and go, hey, I just made 7% today, made 10% today, made 15% today, which is insane, which is really cool. Like, no. You only mention achievements when people ask. And sometimes you do it to establish authority, sometimes you do it to establish credibility, but you only do it when people ask. You ask about others until they ask about you. You only mention your achievements when people ask. And this is gonna hurt. It's gonna make your ego feel a little bit worse. You're not really gonna have as much like, oh, I'm the coolest guy ever. And that might suck, you know? And it does suck. You know, like I just want to talk about stocks all day. It's super, super fun. But you only mention your achievements when people ask. Yesterday I was in Super Ride with this other guy, and we spent like 20 minutes talking about the chakra meditation, the chakra stuff that he did. And he was like using his hands to like blurge some energy into me, and it was like so crazy. And as he's going through this process, he's talking about this like huge event that he's running this weekend. He invites me to it, and he's like, oh, it'll be the coolest thing ever. You should totally come. It's awesome. I've been doing this for a decade, and you'll love it. And I'm like, dude, that's so cool. And then like in the last 2 minutes of the Super Ride, he asked me what I do. And I'm like, you know, books, national bestseller, courses, stuff like that. And like, I love stocks. It's just super fun. And he's like, what? Only do I talk about that when he asks. And because I only talked about it when he asked, he had a ton of respect for it. And he thought it was freaking awesome. And instead of me spending 20 minutes building my credibility, he instantly thought I was credible. And believe it, I mean, it's 100% true, right? Because I had spent the time before that point adding value to his life by listening to him and asking about his accomplishment, not my own. You do that, it'll change everything. Principle, take away from here is to let the other person do a great deal of the talking. Richest people on this planet, 100% of them, a vast majority of them, the rich people, like they are listening way more than they're talking. And so you want to do that too. You want to listen way more than you're talking. I mean, unless you're doing like podcasts or courses or whatever. But especially in conversation, like you listen more than you talk. You ask questions more than you speak. And only at the end, when people ask about you, do you actually answer and tell, you know? Because you want the other person to do a majority of the talking to convince themselves of you from their own perspective. So yeah, really powerful stuff, guys. Hope you had a ton of value for this module. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it, and I will see you in the next module. Thank you. Bye.